Blog Talk Radio.
Live from our studios in New York City and San Francisco, it's First and Life with your hosts Corey Lucci and Steve Hoyam. We tackle talk with purpose.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to my Friday. I'm your co-host, Steve Hoyam, along with Corey Lucci. How's it going, Corey?
Hello. I'm well. How's it going, big fella?
It's going great.
Well, hopefully everyone at home can hear me and on the road, so I'll do the best I can. You just let me know if I need to try something different here. We're both in a new spot, as usual, but we're here with you on First in Life. It's a beautiful Friday, at least in Northern California, Friday the 13th, by the way. So, exactly. I just looked down, it's 13, yeah. We're listening to First in Life. We have, Twitter, Facebook, a website. We'd love to do that, www.firstinlife.com, FSNDLIFE.com. We're here to talk about some football. Corey and I are former football players coming to you to talk about sports, football, and life in football, life out of football, and all that good stuff. We are super excited to have a special guest today, Keith O'Brien. He played a number of years in the league. Got a great story, and we're just so honored to have him for the first time publicly about his personal experiences. And, we have talked to Keith and both really enjoyed meeting him, and a whole heroic story to tell everyone today. So, I'm super excited. Corey, how about you?
First of all, I'm always excited because guess what? I get to spend this power hour with you, my co-host, my quote-unquote best friend. And we get to talk a little bit of football. We get to talk a little bit about life. And again, as you just said, we get to have a very special guest, Keith, one of our, obviously, cohorts. He's played the game. He knows the game. He's got a really fascinating, if you will, story. Just I think really goes for what we talk about here about, first in life. It's never too late to start living the first day of the rest of your life. And he's obviously had to make some serious choices, and hey, we're happy to have him on.
That's right. And, so we're excited about listening to some of the headlines and news we want about this week. Corey, what's your something to talk about today?
Well, I guess I would honestly have to start out with the Jets Patriots last night. Hey, I'm in New York, right? So it's, the Jets. It's so weird because it was really the first game that I had actually watched, if you will, from start to almost finish. And the Jets defense looked awesome, bro. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you hold the New England Patriots to 13 points and you lose? That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Flat out unheard of. So, I guess all is not lost, if you will, because, hey, they do have a rookie quarterback, so there are going to be some learning curves there. But for God's sakes, they put up, their defense has literally given up 30 points over the last 2 weeks. And, of course, they won the first week against Tampa by a point, but they lost, unfortunately, last night to the Patriots 13-10.
The Patriot season. What's your takeaway from that?
I'm sorry, but you're really choppy right now. You said, what was my takeaway from the game last night?
That's right. As far as what it means for the Patriots season, what it means for the Jets season. Because I went into this game thinking the Patriots, they're going to be battling for mediocrity in the AFC East, right? With the Jets. This is going to be, and basically that's what we saw. But, did you see anything in that game that made you think, well, maybe the Patriots, who are 2-0, by the way, maybe going to beat and play? Did you get that or I think that?
Well, what I will say is that I saw the same old Tom Brady, who obviously still has a great arm. He was trying not to show it, but he got really frustrated last night because he's got essentially, man, an entire new crew of young guys that he's trying to train, if you will, or teach, how to become, how to learn how to do it the Patriots way. And I saw 2 catches, for instance, last night that was sheer touchdowns, bro, and they dropped the ball. And of course, as in only Brady can do, he kind of said some choice words words, and he walked over. And I finally think after the halftime, I don't know if one of the coaches had a conversation with him, but instead of being negative or instead of chewing him out, he actually tried to encourage them more. So look, all I can tell you is there. Folks, we apologize for our co-host Steve fading out there. I'm not sure exactly what's happened, but anyway, as we were talking about the Patriots, I still say that it's going to be a long season for them. Obviously, they're in trouble. I believe that
I'm back.
Even in the case of you're back. I'm not sure what actually happened there, but anyway, as I was telling our faithful followers, Steve, that I still think it's going to be a long season for the Patriots, man. Call me crazy. I know this is just week 2. We still have a long way to go, but I believe at the end of the day that by the time we do hit that like halfway point, who knows? Who knows?
That's right. We're getting close here. In about 5 minutes, we're going to bring on our guest, and we just wanted to touch on a few highlights from, I'm scanning through the headlines here, things that catching my attention. Corey and I were laughing about the Harbaugh comment on Clay Matthews, and thought that was a clever way of describing the situation. I mean, I love those Jim Harbaugh quotes. I'm not for the kids. What are your thoughts about that, Corey?
Well, obviously, man, Harbaugh is going to be Harbaugh. When he actually said it, all I could think of was, okay, Clay Matthews with the long hair, getting up, slapping the guy on the butt. I've probably seen him do it 1,000 times, so I don't even really think anything about it. I personally believe it was just Harbaugh trying to get under the kid's skin. The fact that we're sitting here talking about it almost a week later, obviously every other football sports show has also talked about it. It's just, Harbaugh, man,
That's right. That's what you get. But, at least he cares, right? One of the stories that grabbed my attention this morning, did you hear about Josh Freeman?
I've heard a lot about Josh Freeman, and I'm not sure which story you actually talking about. But I know there's a big thing going on about the fact that he wasn't a captain. He should have been named captain. Obviously, there's something going on between him and the head coach. That they stunk up the joint last week against the Jets, bro. But anyway, you go ahead.
Just reading the article here, and this is who is this? ESPN reporting that the team did not vote him in as captain. Even though he's been the captain for 3 years, the team did not vote him in. And one of the reasons that they're citing is he overslept for a team photo. So he didn't show up, and I guess he's in the final year of his contract. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if they want to keep that kind of show around in Tampa.
Well, the other story is that the team said they did vote him in as captain, but Greg Schiano basically was the one that actually counted the vote, and that he said that there were not enough votes. But of course, players got together and said, "No, I voted for him. I voted for him. I voted for him. I voted for him." So essentially, you have I don't want to say a split locker room, but you definitely have probably 60% of the guys on that team saying, "Wait a minute, something's up here." But I think it's bigger than this captain thing, man. Let's call this what it is. I kind of was curious how long this would actually last, because as you know, he came from Rutgers. He had that college coaching mentality. I don't want to knock that, because obviously Chip Kelly is in here now too with the Eagles. But if you recall last year during the Giants game, the first Giants game, Tom Coughlin wouldn't even shake his hand, because it was like 4th and I don't know 5 with like literally 3 seconds left. So they were just going down the ball, right?
Right.
Eli Manning goes back to just drop down on like one knee, and then of course the game is over. Tampa literally like rushed across the line, and of course it ended up turning into a little bit of a skirmish, and he basically said, "Look, if you have a problem with my guys playing hard, then hey, you see me." I told them to basically play to the last second, and so that sort of rubbed a lot of coaches, if you will, and a lot of teams the wrong way. And And I'm starting to wonder if it's that second year jitters or the bugs where, last year he had these guys that were really buying into his system. Now they're in that second year, and guys are sort of like, okay, coach, we heard this, so who knows? But it's definitely something we have to keep our eye on.
Yeah, no, I definitely, and I think players have a sense for who's going to be around and who is not going to be around, and maybe the players are sensing a little blood in the water around their head coach.
Right.
Time will tell. Well, hey, let's take a quick break and bring on our guest right after this.
You're listening to First and Life on Blog Talk Radio.
All right, Corey, are you ready to bring on our special guest today?
Always. Born ready, buddy. Born ready.
All right, so without further ado, I want to introduce today's guest. And just say how much we really appreciate Keith coming on our show today. It has been quite a last couple of days. Corey and I were just totally excited to get Keith O'Neill to be on this show, and he's going to come on and share with us his experience in the NFL and out of the NFL. And those are a couple topics that are near and dear to our hearts. So first, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Keith O'Neill, and a man that played for many teams for many years and is now living in the cold climate of Arizona, where he went to college. But, before that, Keith was in Buffalo, New York, along with a few other people. I think we were probably there at the same time, right, Keith?
Yeah, I think so. Big fan, the glory years, the glory years,
Yeah.
The things we still live for up there,
That's right. What were you doing in the, 94, 95, that time frame?
I was actually just moving to Buffalo from New Jersey, where a lot of my childhood was in Jersey. I grew up on the Jersey Shore, and then we moved to Buffalo when I was in high school.
Okay.
So I got there at the tail end of, the fame, the glory years.
So you went from being a Jets fan to a Bills fan, or how does that work?
No, I went from being a Giants fan.
a Giants fan, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I was a Giants fan.
Okay. Well, that, why not? The Giants beat the Bills, so.
Yeah.
All right. But you became a Bills fan, and the rest was good, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when you live in Buffalo, all you really got are the Bills and the Sabres and some wings and some good beer, but they live for it up there. And I love Buffalo, New York. I love to go back and visit my family and friends whenever I get a chance. It's a great place. It is.
And Corey and I both enjoyed our time, and it's a special place for both of us and great people. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Keith, what part of Buffalo were you in?
I went to I grew up in Amherst. I went to Sweet Home High School.
Okay.
It's kind of northeast.
No, I know it. I know it very, very well. In fact, one of the funniest things our first year was that I wanted to live, believe it or not, out in Williamsville, and I just went back and started talking to a couple of guys, and they were like, "Rook, you're not from here. You've never driven in the snow. You need to stay as close to Orchard Park as you can." I was like, "Really?" So I was all right.
Yeah.
No. And I was okay, fine. So of course I took that advice, but I remember a couple guys in our rookie class podium that unfortunately did not take that advice. And the first real snow, man, Yonel Jourdain wrecked his car.
No, I know it can be a little overwhelming, but the people in Buffalo know how to take care of it. It's nothing, Life goes on there with snow, so it's not that big of a deal for us, So.
That's right. So Keith, you mentioned that you got family in Buffalo, and so we were wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your family background and how football became part of that background.
Sure. My father was an All-American linebacker at Penn State and was first-round draft pick in the NFL and played 7 years.
Wow.
Of course, growing up, I wanted to follow his footsteps. I think that's only natural. My brother, Kevin, who was really my biggest inspiration, I don't tell him that, though. He was an amazing track star and football player. He played at Syracuse, and he played linebacker too. He was real successful there with the team. They went to 5 bowl games, and he was there during the Donovan McNabb era. So I got to be a part of that, and the family got to be a part of that. So that was special. And then my brother-in-law, Drew Haddad, who my sister married, he was a phenomenal wide receiver at University of Buffalo, and then he went into the NFL. and played for about 5 years. So football, and on top of it, my dad's a football coach. So on top of it, I mean, we're pretty much, our life pretty much revolved around football,
I would
to say the
say
least.
so.
And, it's a pretty different life. The football world can be pretty different. So it's been an exciting ride.
Is your dad still coaching?
No, he's just volunteering now, high school.
Okay.
He's up there,
Sure,
so,
sure.
Yeah, he's coaching at a local high school and loves it. So.
And that's in Buffalo area?
Yeah, that's in the Buffalo area. And my brother lives there, and my parents live there, and my sister lives in Cleveland, so they're all up in that area. And I'm only out here in Arizona.
All right. You want to give a shout-out to the high school that he's volunteer coaching for, or your high school,
sure,
or whatever?
No, my high school, yeah, I went to Sweet Home High School. We've always had a really good program there. I know over the past, 7 years or so, they've won a couple state championships. So they're doing very well. And, my dad's coaching at North Tonawanda High School. So he enjoys it. He just loves being around the kids and stuff. So it's
super.
Great. Yeah.
Now, Keith,
right,
you said that since you said sweet home, who, and I may be wrong here, but who was the kid that was drafted by the Eagles in the first round? Did he go to Sweet Home High School? He was a linebacker or something? Or
From Sweet Home?
Maybe it's not Sweet Home.
No, I don't think there's ever been a first round draft pick out of the Buffalo area. I would say the biggest player right now in the league out of Buffalo is Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk. He's from I think he went to Williamsville North and then transferred somewhere else. But the Gronkowski brothers, they're a Buffalo family. So.
I'm trying to think. It'll come to me later. There's a guy. He was playing for the Eagles. But anyway, sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
I was thinking that it was Sweet Home High School. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No.
So Keith, one of the things that we mentioned to our audience earlier at the start of the show was that you were on and going to talk about some personal matters that have come to light in your life, but at the same time were with you and it was undiagnosed for a long time. So, without further ado, I just wanted to intro that so you could talk about one of the things that you wanted to talk about today, which relates to mental health and football. And one of the topics that Corey and I have talked about many, many times is how that can impact athletes today, either during their sport or after their sport. So, Keith, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience in that realm?
Sure. First I want to say, it just doesn't affect, just athletes. I mean, it does for sure, but mental illness is, I've noticed now that I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder mixed, which is a form of bipolar. It's everywhere. And I was diagnosed 3 years ago, and it's been a journey really my whole life with symptoms. It started for me at a very young age, and please, just be patient with me. This is the first time I've ever spoke about this publicly, so I might just please be patient. I started real little with a lot of anxiety. I don't know why. I was a little kid, and I had problems sleeping at night, and a lot of people with bipolar or, I guess, mental illness, at nighttime, my mind races a lot, especially under stress. Or I really don't know, because I was a child. I don't feel like I was a stressed child. I just, so it was scary as a kid growing up, being afraid of going to bed at night. So
yeah,
that was kind of a lot of my childhood symptoms. I did have some suicidal thoughts as a child, but I didn't share at the time because then what do you say, And I come from a very supportive family. I mean, very, very supportive, and but then it'd go away, and I'd be fine for a while, and then what really got hard when I went away to college. High school was okay, I definitely had some impulsive behaviors and some moods. I was always described as a moody child. Anyone that's close to me, my old roommates, my family, I mean, they got nicknames for me and stuff, but it doesn't bother me, because I know it's nothing but love. But I went away to college, and just the stress of being, I went to NAU, Northern Arizona University, all the way from Buffalo, just because I really didn't have many other choices, for scholarship offers. So I went all the way up. I went up to NAU, and I really coped at school with I drank a lot.
Right.
I drank a ton, and I don't know if that was a coping mechanism or what, but I drank a lot, and I get in a lot of trouble. I got in some trouble, nothing too bad, but just drinking related things. Sure. But nothing too bad. And then I battled, and then I started getting scouted by the NFL, and I was playing really well. And I got a tryout with the Cowboys. It was just one team. The Cowboys wanted me. And this is really where, like, my anxiety and racing thoughts really came into play. And during my training, my rookie camp, I went 5 nights without sleeping. And
oh wow!
I don't know how I got through it. Prayer.
Sure.
Family. All the things that you need. They went through it too. My family went through this with me too, and so. I ended up making the team. I don't know how. I played really well. Like I wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't sleeping. I still played well, and I made the team. And so that's kind of like the story of like the NFL. It was just an up and down and anxiety and thoughts, and there's so many like symptoms and moods. And this was just me though. Like other bipolar people are different. This is just how I am. So I'm not trying to generalize it, but I've missed games. I missed a game with the Colts. I tried to quit the Cowboys, and Coach Parcells wouldn't let me. And so the coaches knew like what was going on, but I really didn't get much help because you don't know. People don't know what bipolar is. Like you hear it, but like how are they? I said it was anxiety. That's what I thought it was.
Okay.
And I finally got to the Colts, and I said that this isn't enough. Like I need some help. I started having suicidal thoughts, and I knew I could approach Coach Dungy, and I felt really comfortable going in, and he was awesome, and they let me actually miss a game and just kind of recoup,
Well,
and,
that is so great, Keith. I'm going to interrupt you here real quick because, first, Corey and I just want to acknowledge your, courage in talking about this and openly, and it's something that Corey and I feel strongly about, the courage it takes to talk about what's going on, even in a situation where you almost don't know any different, right? If this is something that's been with you since early childhood and something that you've learned to cope with, you don't know, right, if this is good or bad or right or wrong to feel this way. It's just kind of your normal way of doing business. And here you are in a situation which, just to emphasize this point, you made an NFL team as an undrafted rookie. And that was my experience with the Bills. I came into Buffalo as an undrafted guy out of college. And I know that it takes a little bit extra to get the attention it takes to make the squad when you aren't a draft pick. And, anyone that's not drafted in the first round has to really step forward with something special in order to make the team. But an undrafted guy, that's a special story right there. But what you've described is so important to Corey and I, and one of the things that undiagnosed mental illness in the NFL is it happens. It happens everywhere, not just the NFL. But I think that for myself, someone who I remember someone told me the reason I was drinking a lot was I was self-medicating. And I remember thinking, okay, well, at least I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just self-medicating. Like there's some anxiety, I drink, and that allows me to do what I need to do to get through school or play football and just calm my nerves. And that's how I thought about it until the drinking became, for me, something that was going beyond just calming my nerves. And that's a whole other side story. But you touched on a couple of important facts, the self-medication aspect and why it's so critical for people to seek help and have that courage to reach out and, the people around, just to be prepared to look for things that seem off, the symptoms of depression, alcoholism, bipolar disorder. They're all out there. So the more that we can all do to inform ourselves of what it's like from different perspectives, we're all going to be in a better place to help each other. So again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, and I agree. I think it starts young. I think it starts in our school system with education. I mean, this is a big deal in our world, and we're not really educated on it too much, I feel. I mean, I didn't know what bipolar disorder was.
Sure.
I just heard about it, and I knew that it wasn't good. That's all I know.
It does not sound good at all. If someone says, "Yeah, I'm bipolar," okay, well, what does that mean? So, Keith, from what you've learned, can you explain to us a little bit more about bipolar disorder in general? Because I know you have a mix.
I'll try. I mean, okay. I've been to a lot of doctors, and I've done a lot of research on my own, and I can only really speak about my symptoms. Okay. And for me, like, All right, I'll just explain like what happened. It's very difficult. There's you can go really manic. Like, you can go into like a very manic state, which I did later on in life. I went in after the NFL. I went to a very high manic state, or you can go into a very depressive state, which I did too for about a year and a half.
Oh wow!
That's why it's called manic depressive, And then mania, like what I started doing was, and this was all triggered by my wife had a miscarriage, and it triggered me, and I started feeling like very euphoric at first, and feeling really good and confident and goal oriented.
Okay.
And then I kind of just went off the deep end, and I went into psychosis for just a little bit, which is you lose touch with reality, which I did for some time. But I'm not psychotic. I just went into a psychosis state.
Right.
And then I went to the doctors and put me on medication, and then you go into a depression. And that's just equally as bad. And my depression was like depression/anxiety, and it wasn't good. So that's like kind of my symptoms. And then I'm like kind of mixed, where I can kind of cycle through a day with my moods. But I don't go too high or too low. I kind of right in the middle, kind of up and down. But now that I'm on the right medication, and a lot of different things have happened in my life, where now I feel very clear, and for the last probably 10 months, I've been the best I have been in 33 years.
That's great. So you touched on something, Keith, that I wanted to, emphasize for people. You were diagnosed, and then were you diagnosed with depression, and they put you on antidepressants before?
No.
Were you on any sort of medication before they diagnosed the bipolar disorder?
The only thing I had ever taken in my life was Ambien, sleep, and Klonopin, which is an anti-anxiety, which I only took like 3 times. I didn't think it worked. So that's it. And then when I got diagnosed, that's when all the medications started coming in, and I've been on everything. Right. Because it's like, not everything. I've been on probably, I estimate, probably 10 to 15 different medications. Sure. And they have to find the right one that works for you.
Exactly. That's the point I wanted to emphasize for everyone. It's a process. People, there's so much variation within bipolar disorder or within anxiety disorders, or, people that have depression. There's the need to go to someone who is knowledgeable about this. I mean, any physician can just prescribe a lot of medications, but it really takes someone who is versed in that type of medication, like a psychiatrist or a pharmacologist, to get the dosages, to get the combinations just right for the individual. So it takes some patience and support to get through that process of just identifying what's actually going to help me, and make sure that the chemicals in my brain are functioning in the way that they should be for a normal, healthy 33-year-old. So my hat's off to you for going through that.
Thank you.
So, Keith, how did you find it to be then playing in the National Football League with this? Were you able to go and talk with your doctors from each team, or?
I kind of hit a lot of it, I didn't want to, unfortunately, I felt like, and one thing I want to try and do is help the stigma that it's not a weakness, it's an illness, and I felt like if I went, I'd probably get cut, or, something along those lines. So I had a hard time opening up to not only the NFL, but to everybody. And I did see a doctor. I saw our team doctor at the time, and he prescribed me medication. And then I went and I asked him if I could go see a psychologist, because I needed to talk about it. And I went to the psychologist and I talked about it, and he handed me a DVD or a CD and told me to listen to it before I go to bed to help me relax. And the only thing I could think of was, if I listen to one more Enya CD before I go to bed, I'm gonna throw it against the wall. I've tried that one before. I'm like, I think I need a little bit more help than that.
Right. Well,
it's hard. Yeah.
That you were able to get as much help as you were in the NFL. I mean, that took some conviction and courage on your part to, go to Coach Dungy and talk about it, and to talk to the doctors about it. My experience in football in general, and I don't want to point fingers at individuals, but just in general, team doctors are typically orthopedic surgeons. That's their background. And so when you're talking about a mental disorder or illness, going to an orthopedic surgeon to get something for that, you're not getting the best medical attention that this country has to offer. But yet,
no, and I'm not.
Well, that's the typical route. So there is a need to bring more support and a bigger voice to what people go through in the NFL. I mean, it's a high stress, high anxiety job, and so if people are bringing in anything into that, they need that support. So, hopefully we can start moving in that direction where players are supported holistically in whatever ails them.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Like, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I mean, it's a very complex, illness, and I didn't really open up about it too much. I just said I'm having anxiety. I can't sleep. That's it, So, but I completely agree with you. I think there is a lot going on, possibly with mental health in the NFL, and it's a high-stress job.
Right. Now,
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
No.
I was just going to ask about the CTE connection, because that's another topic when we talk about mental health. CTE comes up all the time around football, and I mean it's a serious issue. But one of the things that I wonder, sometimes I'm in a situation where I'm asking myself, is this what I'm dealing with because of CTE, or is this some other co-occurring disorder that I have, that is causing me to feel this way? Because, the depression or certain emotional feelings sometimes seem to come on really strong. I mean, here I am, a 40-year-old man who has gone through, what I went through to play football, and, the physical pain, the stress, the anxiety, and now, because my daughter's basketball game didn't happen the way I wanted it to, and I'm like, I don't have a problem with that, but sometimes thoughts go through my head like, wow, am I reacting to this in a normal, healthy way? Or is this something that, was caused by brain injury that I suffered over the course of my football career? So did that thought ever cross your mind, Keith, that maybe some of this is related? Head trauma?
Yes and no. Okay. I mean, I had symptoms before the NFL. I mean, so, I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, the NFL caused me to be bipolar. But at the same end, it's like I took a lot of hits to the head.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't think there's any way to prove it.
Right.
So that's my opinion on it. And everyone's different, and I have no idea. But like I said, I had symptoms before, but after the NFL, I will say my symptoms got a lot worse. But now I'm doing a lot better. So I don't know.
Great. All right, Corey, your turn.
No. You actually asked. No, I'm telling you took it. That was where I was going. Did he feel that playing 7 years in the league caused it to be worse? So I appreciate your honesty, man. Especially given this time, because it's such a hot button. Look, Corey and I have talked about this several times, man. There's you have the current lawsuit that's out now, and not to really get into that, but I mean, come on, guys. We all know $765 million over 15 years is a drop in the bucket.
That's nothing. It's a joke. It's a joke.
There you go. It literally is. Is. And my personal biggest fear is that, all right, so I'm 41. Now I'll be 42 in roughly a month. But what is it going to be like at 52? Will I even make it to 52? So that's what I worry about.
Right.
Well, trust me, but you and I, Steve, and a lot of other former players in the same boat. So I trust me when I tell you, I definitely hear you.
Yeah. And Keith, what you're doing today with us, I just feel it. The energy that I feel between the three of us is that, here we are, former players from different times, different places, but we have some common interests here, and let's keep pushing. Let's keep making our voices heard in terms of, the complexity of the issue. It's not just a simple throw money at it problem, but it is a complex issue, and it's something that we can all do a better job of and do more to address. Friends, family, everything.
I completely agree, but I think it's more than just the NFL that this is going on with. I mean, I see it's everywhere, like workplaces. Right. I had to resign from my job. I mean, I agree with you about former players, and I think they deserve to get the treatment and what they deserve. But like, I'm doing this not for the NFL. I'm doing this for people, like that have already reached out to me, like friends who have brothers who have bipolar disorder.
Right.
And like it's not just the NFL. It's everywhere. And I just I want to help, and that's why I'm doing this.
Right.
Well, Keith, I know I'm definitely saying this for Steve personally, all of our listeners, bro. We commend you because I've oftentimes said that life is funny, and if you haven't gone through anything yet, just wait and just keep on living because trust me. Mm-hmm. You will.
So something's gonna happen. Yeah, something's gonna happen.
There you go. We can all definitely say that. So, Keith, we hear you work on a book, man. Tell us about that.
Sure. I'm not at much liberty to talk while I'm really in the really beginning, early stages of it, and with my illness, I really got to take the book slow because if I really start typing, I'll probably end up in front of like a fireplace, a typewriter, and a bottle of scotch or something. I got to take it slow. And but I'm working with some great people on it, and it's probably a couple years out. So
okay. So how long have you been working on?
I personally have been working on it. Actually, I started. Don't lie. Yeah, my whole life.
No. Your whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, but I started actually when I was in a manic episode. I used to be in medical device sales, and I was in an operating room, supposed to be paying attention, and I'm on my BlackBerry typing my book. And that's when I realized. That's when I realized I should probably put it down. So I went out and I got an audio recorder. And I've been recording it for probably, since I've been healthy. I stopped, and then since I've been healthy, I started again. And I found like a good, healthy life balance through a lot of things. And I've been on my recorder because that works best for me for about 8 months. And I've been working with some people, talking to them, getting advice and directions and good things. So
great. Well, again, that story, that's important stuff.
Yeah, geez, Keith, man, you're giving me chills. I'm listening. No, I'm telling you, I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking about a dear friend of mine, Steve, who came on as my co-host to do a show because you couldn't do it. Gita, and she describes some of the same symptoms, man, that you're talking about. Now, she literally started a book, and she practically wrote the book in like 4 days. And I was like, what? She goes, I'm serious. She said she could not stop. She literally stayed up, 48 hours, 72 hours. And I'm like, Gita, no way. She goes, no, Corey, seriously. And finally, sort of like yourself, she ended up having to go and seek some help. And I'm happy to say that she is better. She's actually doing great. And speaking of that, how are you doing these days?
How am I doing these days?
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I mean, I've really gotten into my faith a lot. It's really been one of the best things for me. My wife and I are. My wife has been so supportive over the years. I mean, she's been there for me. And together we are doing really well now. We have a little boy. He's 15 months. We're out in Arizona. Yeah, he.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're out here. We moved out to Arizona from Buffalo to kind of just. I love it out here. So. We're happy and we're doing really good. We're doing good.
Great. Wow. Well, Keith, is there anything else you wanted to talk about or share with us before we move on and close up the show?
Sure. When I was like really sick, like one thing I realized is how important it is to really care about other people, and I remember like when people would ask me like, Keith, how are you? I'd want to tell them I'm not doing good, but I'd say I'm doing good, So, I just want people to realize that there are people struggling out there, and those 3 words, they're so taken for granted at times. And, it's hard, but, those 3 words can save a life. So
right.
That's it, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
I tell you what, man, we so appreciate you. Bro, if I could come through this microphone right now, I would squeeze you, hug you. I think I could still block you, but listen, man. I commend you from the bottom of my heart. This is what our show is about. This is what our lives are about now. This is our story platform. You just said the next time you ask someone, how are you doing? Be sincere with it. Steve and I joke because our whole thing now is about being authentic, living the best authentic life that you possibly can. And I'll be the first one to tell you, you know what? I don't have perfect days every day, but the fact that I know that I've got people like yourself, Steve, first person like in our corner, man. It just makes it so much easier. So the fact that you were open and willing to come on here and to just share this, brother, I love you for it, and I so appreciate you and your actual story.
Thank you, man. I got nothing but love for you guys and for Buffalo, man.
All right.
We made a connection. I think we made a connection. So.
That's right, and we will be in touch and stay connected. So,
absolutely,
Keith, keep us informed. We'll do our best to follow you, and everyone, Keith, thank you, and we'll have a great weekend. We're gonna take a quick break here, folks, and come back and wrap up another episode of First and Life Friday.
You're listening to First and Life on Blog Talk Radio.
All right, Corey. So now, we've got maybe the final 7 minutes of our show. There's a lot of football going on this weekend. Just give us your top 2 or 3 games that you're going to pay attention to.
I'm going to tell you right now, no offense, I don't care about any NFL games this week. It is SEC, baby, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Johnny M. against the University of Alabama.
There you
I'm
go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm putting it all on that game. I don't want to be disturbed.
Oh man, well that's a huge game. I mean, that's at least 3 or 4 games right there. I'm with you. For me, I'll just chat a little bit about. There's a handful of games that I've got some interest in, and on the college side this week, Stanford is playing in New York at West Point, so they are on the road, and so I won't be at Stanford Stadium on Saturday, which is kind of But hopefully they can squeak past the cadets there at West Point.
Right. Come on. Give me a break. Give me a break. I love you, bro, but give me a break. West Point, okay. Stanford, no, sorry.
Yeah. Take Stanford and the points. Okay.
Take Stanford this year, next year, 5 years from now. West Point is not being Stanford. I'm sorry.
Right. But where I will be, which never in a million years would I have expected to be here on a Saturday afternoon during the college football season when Stanford's not there, but I'm going to the Berkeley Stadium over Cal Memorial Stadium.
With Cal? Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
You're
I'm going to go watch
the Cal game.
But and I'm going because they're playing the Buckeyes of the Ohio State University, and so I've got some interested parties that are going to be joining me at the Memorial Stadium tomorrow around 4 p.m. That's right. Shout out to the in-laws. And no, we're looking forward to going down there. I've only been to Berkeley for a football game twice, and I was playing in both of those games.
Well, I was about to say, I thought if you went to Stanford hated Cal, and Cal hated Stanford, so you wouldn't even get caught on that campus. So I'm proud of you, son.
Right. No, definitely there is progress there. So. So those are the, besides the college game you mentioned, those are the other 2 college games that I have some interest in this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and predict Ohio State beats Cal. I don't think there's any surprises there, but I will say Cal has been throwing the ball like nobody's business. I mean, their quarterback has put up numbers that rival anything that college football has seen. I think in 2 games he's thrown over 900 yards.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So, I mean, but they're just heaving that thing every play. I don't even know if I haven't looked into their team that much, but if you've got a pass defense, it's going to be a long afternoon for Cal, I would think. But
well, now that you say that, the irony is Ohio State lost their starting quarterback last week. So that's going to be interesting, bro. I don't know. Since you just told me this, I'm gonna have to hedge my little bets here and say, Cal and the point.
Yeah, no, I mean Cal is not going to go away lightly. I mean, they may be towards the bottom of the Pac-12, and they may be having a rough rebuilding year, but they are a Pac-12 team, and they're playing a Big Ten team, and there's always that Pac-12 Big Ten rivalry is always going to bring out the best in both teams. I will say Cal will give Ohio State a test, and will probably give them more of a run for their money than most people will expect. So if I haven't looked at the point spread today, but you're right, Corey. I think it would be an interesting proposition to see how Cal can stand up against the Buckeyes. That will be a true road test for Cal. I mean, for Ohio State, where they have to come almost all the way across the country too.
No doubt.
And it's kind of a strange kickoff time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So we'll see. NFL-wise, the game of the week for me is San Francisco at Seattle. That game definitely has implications as to who is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
See, and I'm gonna take a slightly different swing or swag at it, and I don't know. Let me not get ahead of myself, because I guess technically it will be week 3, but I've already got Kansas City and the Eagles game penciled in, bro. You probably make it all crazy, and that's like next Thursday. But I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, Andy Reid goes back into the Eagles game against Chip Kelly and his high flying offense. And I will say this, Steve, after watching the Redskins Eagles game, man, I'm not, again, folks, it's just week 2. It's still early. But boy, oh boy. The Eagles started out just destroying Washington Redskins, bro. Now RG3 came back and they sort of made a game out of it, but that's my big game. So we'll go from there. So Seattle, San Fran, and the Eagles, and Kansas City.
Yeah, well, all right. I'm excited for that one. Now that you mention it, I can't wait for that one. That'll give us something to talk about next week.
No doubt.
Since we did talk about Buffalo, and we got to wrap it up here, but Carolina is going to Buffalo, and I'm going to pick the Bills on that one.
I'm going to go with the Bills, too.
All right. Well, I'm glad we agree, and hey, it was a great show. We appreciate you joining us, and join in next. We'll come at you again, another First in Life Friday.
Have a great weekend, folks. Peace.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of First in Life. Please visit our website at www.firstinlife.com and join us live every Friday as we tackle talk with purpose.